And if you kindly ensure that your line is muted, the rest of you that are Steelers fans should just mute yourselves. And we will move on with our meeting.
We will not be muted, sir.
We'll just move on with our meeting today. And begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll see if I can get somebody else to do it. Beginning with Commissioner Crowley.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. See how respectful we can be when we want to be? Approval of the minutes of the June 27th, July 11th, July 18th, 2023 general sessions, and the July 6th, July 13th, and July 23rd briefing sessions.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved. Mr. President, we have received a request for the prosecuting attorney's office to go first today because special counsel is present.
Thank you. The prosecuting attorney's office will go first.
Thank you. Resolution number 723. Resolution approving the settlement of legal claims and authorizing the county administrator to execute a settlement agreement and release and to take additional actions necessary to effectuate the agreement not inconsistent with this resolution in the amount of $630,000. I apologize, Mr. President. I think we're going to do this one first.
I'm sorry?
Yep, 700-023.
We are correct, okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Joe Durham, Eastman and Smith, Special Counsel on this matter. Here recommending approval of Resolution 700-023, which would approve a settlement agreement with the estate of Jeffrey Cox involving the settlement of a Clean Water Act citizen suit action that was filed in 2018. That matter is pending at the Court of Appeals right now. Prior to the resolution of the appeal, Mr. Cox passed away, so this settlement would actually be with his estate, his wife, who has a motion to substitute as a party, and also the Ohio Environmental Council and the Buckeye Environmental Network, who had filed a notice of intent to sue under the Clean Water Act as well. The settlement addresses the county's risk associated with continued litigation, and the monetary terms of that settlement include a payment of $630,000, $55,000 to the estate of Mr. Cox, $100,000 to Mrs. Cox, and $475 in attorney's fees to Altman and Newman. The non-monetary provisions of the settlement require the county to comply with a consent order that they've entered into with the Ohio EPA regarding the household sewage treatment systems in the county. The environmental concerns are addressed in the settlement agreement, and they address the consent order with Ohio EPA. And with that, I'd ask for passage of the resolution, and I'd accept any questions.
If there are no
I'm
comments.
sorry, Mr. President.
Please.
If you could just run down the stipulations. I can't think of the right word.
The non-monetary?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
the county is already in a consent order with Ohio EPA to address and eliminate household sewage treatment systems by either connecting them to sanitary sewer or upgrading them to NPDES compliant systems. Additionally, the county is agreeing to look at grant funding and other monetary funding that can assist property owners that need to upgrade or connect to sanitary sewer. There's a requirement that reports go to the plaintiff's attorney. So anything that is submitted to Ohio EPA in response to the consent order, there is an annual reporting requirement to the plaintiffs. And there is a provision about if the county transfers the ownership or the operation of its storm sewer system, that there is a notification that's required to the plaintiff's attorney.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware of, it's not just monetary, that we're doing our best to address the broader conversation. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right.
If I may, Joe, would you mind just merely addressing the letter you received from council regarding future litigation?
Oh, that's one or two.
Yeah, this was addressed earlier. The council has indicated that during the terms of this settlement agreement, if entered into, which will be 10 years, that the plaintiff's counsel believes while they are representing the estate of Ms. Cox and all of the other parties that we're settling with, that they would have a conflict of interest to bring another action of a same or similar matter.
Perfect.
All right. If there are no additional comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 0700-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 700-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 701-23. Resolution approving the settlement, legal claims, and authorizing the county administrator to execute a settlement agreement and release in the amount of $6,500,000.
Good afternoon, Aaron Glasgow from Isaac Wild Special Counsel. In this case, this resolution is to consider the approval of a settlement in case number 19 CV 4470 brought by the estate of Joseph Haynes. Franklin County is a defendant in this lawsuit. At mediation in this case, the parties agreed to, in principle and subject to this board's approval, a settlement in the amount of $6,500,000. The settlement does not include any admission of liability for the county, the sheriff's office, or any county employee. Upon approval of the settlement, all claims asserted in this litigation will be dismissed with prejudice. This resolution would approve the county administrator to execute the settlement agreement on behalf of the county and to take any further action necessary to facilitate this settlement. Special counsel are in approval of this resolution and recommend it in the best interest of the county and to limit the risk to the county from this matter. Available for any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? All right. If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 0701-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 701-23 has been adopted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move back to the clerk of courts, Mr. Reader, and his god-awful.
Re-
You're a smart man.
Resolution number 686-23. Resolution authorizing an agreement with the security firm Whitestone Group Incorporated to provide armed guard services for the Franklin County Clerk of Courts Auto Title Division in the amount of $1,727,966.63.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Rich Sims, Director of Auto Title for Clerk of Courts. We just ended a previous security contract with Whitestone Group, Inc., which began in 2019. It's a 4-year contract under resolution number 0481-19. Whitestone Group, Inc. is an Ohio-based small business, service-disabled, veteran-owned business, and it provides armed security officers for all 4 of our auto title branches daily. Today's resolution is for a new contract for 5 years with effective dates of September 19th, 23 through September 18th, 28. The 5-year total is not to exceed $1,727,966.63. Pending any questions, the clerk's office respectfully requests approval of resolution number 0686-23.
I have a question. So is this contract low bid, or is this bid out, or was this just an extension?
That's my question.
The contract ended, and we are it's not a renewal, but we're starting the contract again.
It's a contract under GSA.
It's not subject to competitive bidding because it's under a state contract.
So, I'm sorry, can you just repeat that one more time?
Yes, it is an exception to the competitive bidding because we are purchasing it off state contract, which is a competitive process cooperative.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I want to make sure the public understands that what, if I could translate that and make sure I'm correct, Madam Prosecutor, we are allowed to tap into state of Ohio contracts that have already been bid out and meet the specifications of the need we have. And so what we're essentially saying is that we didn't have to do the process all over again. We just renewed the contract based on the standard, the previous standard of that being bid out by the state. And so, and I presume that saves us time, money, and whatnot.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. There are no comments or questions. Move for approval of Resolution 686-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 686-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 687-23, resolution authorizing a contract with Identisys Incorporated to purchase, install, and maintain security recording devices at the Clerk of Court's 4 auto title branches in the amount of $158,441.61.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Administration. Jeff Berry, Assistant IT Director for Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy, Clerk of Courts. The resolution before you provides a video surveillance system installed by Identisys, which will replace our current unsupported system. The proposed video surveillance system will comprise state-of-the-art cameras strategically positioned throughout our facilities to monitor entrances, exits, critical areas, and parking lots, as well as facilities to monitor, as well as an advanced DVR recorder. The system will be installed at all of our auto title locations. The cost of the hardware and software is not to exceed $108,000, and the maintenance contract is $10,000 annually for 5 years. Pending any questions, I request your approval for this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 687-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 687-23 has been adopted.
Order comment, please.
Okay.
Resolution number 688-23, resolution authorizing a contract extension between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and Tyler Technologies Incorporated for enterprise jury management software and associated subscription in the amount of $100,362.
Good afternoon, Susan Bedsole, Deputy Court Director. I also have with me Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance. This resolution seeks to approve that 3-year contract extension with Tyler Technologies. They were formerly Courthouse Technologies, so the previous contract was under Courthouse Technologies for our jury management system. This software allows for the summonsing of all of our jurors, the tracking of all jury trials, and the random assignment of jurors to pools. Pending any question, we would request approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 688-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 688-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Next up- Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Domestic relations.
Resolution number 689-23, resolution authorizing a contract with Action for Children for parenting seminars in the amount of $43,623.40.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. This resolution is requesting to award a 1-year contract with Action for Children to provide parenting seminars seeking a divorce, legal separation, or annulments. Competitive sealed bids were received by the purchasing department, with only one bid being received. The annual cost of these seminars is $45,623.40, which is offset by a $22 filing fee paid to pay for the seminars. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I move for approval of Resolution 689-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 689-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Happy Monday. Next up, we have Board of Commissioners, and I know we have a public hearing for Resolution 690-23. Can the clerk please read the public hearing?
Resolution considering the initial feasibility of the improvement of the Radke-Snyder Drainage Improvement, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
I would like to open the public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone here or online that would like to speak to the public hearing?
Thank you, Commissioner Crawley. This matter has been set today for the first hearing of the Radke-Snyder Ditch Petition, which lays out the plans and specifications for this proposed project. The findings will be made for the limited purpose as set forth in ORC 6131.12 and does not obligate the board to move forward with the construction of the improvement. Any documents or evidence you wish to submit into the record for anybody who wishes to testify today, please do so at the time of your presentation. All witnesses who testify in this matter shall state their full name, county, address, or parcel, and be sworn in by myself prior to giving their testimony. Before starting the hearing and prior to the hearing testimony, I would like the members of the Franklin County Engineer's Office to please rise for their oath. If you would raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give today is true to the best of your knowledge? Thank you very much. Okay, and we will begin with their presentation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I
Good
hope this
afternoon.
thing is on. Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison for Franklin County Engineer and Franklin County Drainage Engineer, Cornell Robertson. With me today, I have Jim Ramsey and Abigail Obert with our Drainage Department. Commissioners, a single county ditch petition for the Radke-Snyder Drainage improvement was filed with the clerk of the Board of Commissioners on April 14, 2023. It was, excuse me, it was filed by Lynn Radke, Gordon Caldwell, Lori Vermeer, and Donald Vermeer. The board conducted a viewing of said ditch on June 20, 2023, and additional public information meetings were held on June 14, 2023, and September 12, 2023, to receive feedback from and provide information to the residents within the watershed. Now, pursuant to statute, the county engineer has conducted a preliminary investigation, reviewed cost estimates, and formalized a report for the board's review and consideration. Abby will present the initial report of the county engineer, and both she and Jim will answer any questions that you might have. At the conclusion of the hearing, we will ask the board to provide guidance as to which resolution to prepare, either moving forward with plan preparation and project development or dismissing the petition outright. Our office will then prepare the resolution to be voted on at general session on October 3rd, 2023. So, Ms. Obert will begin the presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. I apologize if some of this is repetitive. We have gone through this process a couple times, but again, my name is Abby Obert. I am the project engineer on the Radke-Snyder Ditch Drainage Improvement Petition. So we're just gonna walking through what the first hearing is, and then getting into the specifics and the findings from the Radke-Snyder report. Can you confirm that you both have one of these in front of you? Is that
Yes.
true? Okay. So at this first hearing, we filed the preliminary report. It includes a preliminary cost estimate, a statement of feasibility on this study, and then a cost-benefit analysis as well. Landowners within the watershed may testify for or against the petition at this hearing. And then afterwards, you'll then either vote to proceed with or dismiss the petition, but that vote will come later. No changes will be made to the petition, to the scope, or the project after the first hearing. And then if you vote to proceed, our office will begin preparing the plans, the schedule of assessments for each parcel, and then just overall the final presentation and report as well. So the report itself, there's an outline of the petition process. We have existing conditions of the watershed area, the cost estimates, factors favorable and unfavorable, benefits versus costs, and recommendations. So we'll get into all of this. Again, this is located in Madison Township. We're looking at Braun Road and then Richardson Road. So Braun Road is a township maintained road by Madison Township, and then Richardson Road is a county maintained road by our office. So the Radke-Snyder Ditch watershed is about 901 acres. Now this watershed has been completed using contour data. Until this point, we have not been authorized to spend money on this project, so this is done without any boots on the ground survey at this point. If we had a vote to proceed, we would get into surveying and then with our design as well. So right now, we include 121 parcels within the watershed. That may change depending with lot splits as we move forward with the project. The petition was filed by Lynn Radke, Gordon Caldwell, Lori Vermeer, and Donald Vermeer. And then it was amended after the view by Michael Neal, Bonnie Mullins, Jay Lacey, Donald Fogel, and Beverly Tracy. And the petition states that it to improve drainage, both surface and subsurface, to a good and sufficient outlet by replacing, repairing, or altering the existing improvements as required and creating new surface and subsurface drainage means or laterals as requested by this petition in order to mitigate crop loss due to flooding and prevent damage to existing home sewage treatment systems. So again, this is just a map of the watershed area. Highlighted in purple is land owned by the petitioners. You have a copy of this map as well on the last page of the report. So overall, we have 9 petitioners in the watershed who own 17 parcels, and this actually comes out to 112 acres within the watershed that they own. These are just some pictures taken by our office or sent into our office in the watershed area. So we do have private property flooding, as we can see in the top left picture and the bottom picture. One major concern expressed by our petitioners is that they do not have an adequate outlet for their home sewage treatment systems. Everyone out here has their own home sewage treatment systems. We're not hooked up to sanitary sewer because it's not available in this area. And most of them are actually aerators, which means they would discharge to the storm sewer system. And then when the storm system floods or when those don't have an adequate outlet, there's actually been complaints of their sanitary backing up into their homes as well. And then the top right picture is just a picture of the outlet. So at the outlet, this would be the west part of the watershed, west of Brown Road. There's not an actual graded ditch, so it doesn't really outlet properly for the drainage area. But moving on. Here's just some more pictures we've had from flooding over private property, as well as just an image of a county-maintained culvert on Brown Road that was replaced several years ago. So the proposed scope of work for this project would include ground surface shaping and grading, ditch shaping and cleanout of the original Snyder ditch, subsurface storm tile installation to parcels owned by the petitioners, private driveway culvert replacement when necessary, road culvert installation when necessary, and then seeding and mulching at the end of the construction. So the project estimate, so for construction, again, this is preliminary and made without survey or without an engineering design of the project area. This is just our engineering estimate for what we believe this project would cost. It would be about $506,000 for construction. And project administration, surveying, and engineering coming out to around $110,000. Drainage maintenance for the first year startup. So when we, through Ohio Revised Code 6131, if petitions get approved, they do then end up on the county drainage maintenance program. And for that, we would collect a separate maintenance fund, but that doesn't start until a year after construction. So we build in the first year startup funding for inspections and maintenance in the first year. So that's around $12,000, coming out for a total project estimate of around $628,000. And that Franklin County would be directly assessed for improvements directly constructed in or directly benefiting Richardson Road. And then individual parcel assessments have not been calculated at this time. Ohio Revised Code says that at this point we do not need to go into individual parcel assessments, but that would be done at a later time if this goes on to the final hearing. So factors favorable and unfavorable for this project. Favorable, we have improved surface and subsurface drainage in the watershed, reduction in the duration of ponded water in residential and agricultural areas, improved outlet for subsurface drainage components for the home sewage treatment systems. It also includes, which would also increase safety, public health, and property values. The reduction of future deterioration of surface and subsurface drainage infrastructure, increased crop yields, and decreased occurrences of soil erosion for agricultural areas, and upgraded drainage outlet for Richardson Road, increased safety for residents and drivers along Brown Road and Richardson Road, reduction in mosquito breeding due to standing water, and then, as I mentioned before, annual inspections and maintenance in perpetuity. Factors unfavorable to this project would include the temporary land use disruption during construction. The cost of construction and maintenance assessments can be a burden to some landowners, and then removal of existing vegetation around the area. So benefits versus cost. This is all written out in the report, but just give you a brief summary. Agricultural yields do increase with improved drainage. There's been multiple studies produced by Ohio State that prove that. Increased value in residential properties. So for our county, we see about, for a new parcel, it's about $3,700 to improve drainage to a property. So looking at that with 77 parcels being residential in nature in this watershed, we're looking at a potential benefit of $284,000. Next, the home sewage treatment systems. Again, this is a big factor in this project, but when there's flooding occurring, we're always running the pumps, and that could reduce the lifespan of the home sewage treatment systems, and those are around $30,000 on average to replace. And then, of course, the environmental degradation due to the residential sewage treatment systems not functioning properly and potentially making it up to the surface. And then overall, the quality of life and positive neighborhood perception seen from improved drainage in areas. So our recommendation for this petition is that we believe that it's technically feasible and would adequately serve the project area's drainage needs. So a vote in favor would allow us to begin with the preparation of survey and design of the project, as well as a schedule of assessments for individual parcels, which you would then consider at a final hearing at a later date. And then to note, the Ohio Revised Code 6131.21D states that if the board dismisses the petition at the final hearing, all costs for the proceedings, including surveys, reports, plans, and schedules, may be distributed to benefiting landowners in the same ratio determined by the final estimated assessments. Basically saying that if this would be dismissed at the final hearing, there is the option to assess the cost for engineering to the benefiting landowners. So at this time, this is just our ending one about granting the petition, seeing if it is necessary, if it's conducive to public welfare, and if we're reasonably certain that the benefits will outweigh the costs.
Abby, just one item of procedure. This exhibit that you have, is it okay to mark this as engineering exhibit A so it's formally included in the record?
Yes.
And would the commissioners be in agreement that I can give this to the court reporter for that purpose?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, at this time, if you do not have any questions for Abby, I would like to, there are some folks here that would like to provide testimony. I will swear them each in as they would like to provide that. There are folks here in person, and there is somebody online as well. Okay. Lynn Radke. Is Lynn Radke here and present today?
I'm right here, Lynn Radke.
Okay, hi, Lynn. If you could please state your address, and then you may begin your testimony, and excuse me, I do have to swear you in. Can you please turn the camera on so I can see you all?
My address is 8065 Richardson Road, Groveport, Ohio.
Thank you, and could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may begin.
This project or problems with the water was several years back, a long time back, and I have farm ground that we haven't been able to farm for several years because of the water problem. I've had water go into my barns where I have livestock, which makes it very hard to take care of. And my husband, when he was alive, we tried several times to do it on our own, to have a drilling operator come in and make new tiles and try and get it away, and we've never been able to achieve that. So we need the help from the commissioners to try and get our situation under control, because it's just not a good situation for our home value. It's not a good situation for our health value, and we're limited on our farming end of it. But I do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Ms. Radke.
Madam Clerk, I have a question to the witness. So thank you, ma'am, for your testimony today. A couple quick questions. One, is your property actually in the watershed too, or on the outside of the area that's in question?
My property is in the watershed, and it gets so bad, we probably could open have a fishing pond out here.
Okay.
It just keeps getting worse and worse, and yeah, I'm right in the middle of it.
And then to be clear, thank you so much. And then to be clear, so you are in favor of the
In the improvement, yes, Commissioner.
improvement?
100% in favor.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And next, we can hear from Gordon Caldwell. Hi, Gordon, if you could please could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you, and please state your address or parcel.
It's 8107 Richardson Road.
Okay, and begin whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I would ask that you guys vote to move along with this project, because I am one of the homeowners that have sewage drainage issues. My home utilizes a septic tank that in turn utilizes an aeration system, which drains into the storm drainage system. And when we get flooding out here, unfortunately, I'm unable to use my plumbing in my home for multiple weeks at a time until the flooding subsides and all the drainage ditches in the area decide they want to catch up. And then on top of that, I also lease out agricultural land. Last year, we were unable to plant it at all due to all of the flooding in the area. So I ask that you vote in favor for moving along with this project.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Lori Vermeer. Hi, Lori. Can you please raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you, and please state your address or parcel.
I'm at 8167 Richardson Road.
You may begin.
I also would like to urge the commissioners to support this project for many of the same reasons that Gordon and Lynn just provided. I'm a little farther south down Richardson than they are, but we see the same problems that they do. So we just ask for your support.
Thank you very much. And Commissioners, there are some folks here in person that would like to speak as well. And so at this time, if you'd like to come up to the podium, please state your name, and then I will swear you in.
Hi, my name is Brenda Johnson.
Hi, Ms. Johnson, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. And you may please state your address or parcel, and then you may begin.
7618 Richardson Road. Commissioners, I fail to see how this is benefiting and how our tax dollars should be spent when I live way, way up at the top, as does my neighbor and many of our other neighbors. We're not affected by this in the least. In fact, my little 5-acre horse farm is just, the pastures are cracking. We fear that the lowering of the watershed may also affect our wells. I feel bad for the folks down at the end of the street where a failing sewage infrastructure is an issue for them. I also fail to see how a homeowner is going to be responsible for farmers that are leasing out their land and making money, and this is a business for them. We're homeowners, and we're being asked to pay for this extensive project through tax assessment. The video that you saw, I believe, is a horrible misrepresentation of any water issues for the majority of this watershed, except for down where there's a sewage problem at their end. If you notice, and I brought this up when I was here at the last hearing, there's not a leaf on those trees. And we had, when this video was taken, if you check with Jim Ganal, he'll tell you that it was the wettest year on record. Yes, there was some water, and especially in March when the subterranean is not absorbing anything. I think you'd you'd find quite a different story if you looked from April through now, where it's dry as a bone. Please don't make the taxpayers of small properties along the perimeter of this watershed pay for this project. And if there is a sewage problem due to failing infrastructure, I just heard one of your other, there was a sewage problem in some sort of a lawsuit a couple resolutions ago. So why isn't the Clean Water Act, why is this falling on the taxpayer to do this entire watershed when my little property is up there? I just ask that you consider what this means for the homeowners that aren't affected by this, and what this is going to do, especially after we just got assessed by Franklin County, and taxes went up. So, we're being taxed to death here if this goes through, and I don't think it's fair. I don't make any money off my property. These people do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, if I may, maybe I should wait till everybody testifies, or would you rather me ask as they go?
I think you should, if you have, commissioners, if you have specific questions to the person testifying, you can ask a question. If you want to wait and listen to all the testimony and then ask generally. If it pertains to the questions on the lawsuit, I believe Mr. Sulis can address that piece as it relates to that specific point.
Okay, thank you, Madam Prosecutor. My questions would actually be directed to the engineer's office about some of the points that were raised in the last testimony. And so maybe what I'll do is wait, because they might be the same questions for everyone else. And I can just, if you're okay with that, Mr. President.
Sure.
We'll just do the rest of them, and then I'll come back.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Harris, if you'd like to provide testimony, you can now unmute yourself, and I will swear you in. Okay, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your address or parcel, and then you may begin.
Yeah, my name is Bill Harris. I live at 7856 Braun Road, so I'm one of the last houses, probably 2 or 3 parcels before we get to Little Walnut Creek. There is a water problem. A lot of it's from the ash trees that fell down and damaged the creek and blocked the creek, the ditch up. So that's, and a lot of it was caused by the county cutting trees and dropping them right in the creek. I've had to go out after they cut trees and clean the branches off my own property. My parents, I bought this house off my dad when my dad and my mom after my dad passed away. My dad lived here for 30 years, just about, and never had any problems with water. We do now. I do agree with, I've had, in 30 years, the basement's flooded twice, and like previous lady said, it's some of the rainiest times of the year, last couple years. I haven't had any issues. I've made some changes on my own property. I've had to replace my driveway. I had to replace the ditch. I have the neighbor's sewage running across my yard, which has been, I guess, okayed by the county. But again, I pay over half my house payment is property tax. I pay almost over $1,000 a month property tax here on my property. I have 10 acres, and I can't see how I could live here if the assessments keep going up and I keep paying taxes. And I think a lot of the water problems are from all the warehouses they built on Hayes Road. If you look at the Little Walnut Creek, I used to fish there as a kid. It used to have water in it. It never has water in it anymore until it floods, until it rains hard. Then everything backs up. So you can clean this ditch out all you want, but as soon as the creek floods, it's not going to take any more water. And so I'm against it because I don't want to pay any more taxes. I know it needs to be, there's there is a water problem, but I'm against the taxpayers paying for it. I think everybody else has profited from the warehouses. They're not paying taxes. The farmers are making money. I don't make any money off my property either. And I've spent money cleaning up the creek myself, replacing my own driveway. Then I'm going to get assessed now that someone else needs something done on their property. And I'm not going to recover any of my money and have to pay more. So I'm against it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. This is Commissioner Boyce. I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so I just want to be clear, because it sounds like what you're saying is you see the need for some improvements because of the water issues, but the part you're against is the assessment part to the landowners. Your perspective is that the county should pay for it, or that it should come from somewhere else, but just not from the homeowners?
Correct. Like I said, I've been working on my own property, cleaning my own ditch, putting my own culvert pipes in, and I've already, made the investment for that. The little bridge they put on Braun Road, they put that in, and it's raised like 2 foot, so it's a natural dam before the water, the ditch even fills up. So, I didn't create those issues, and like I said, I didn't cut the trees and the county came and cut the trees, and they let the branches and the large limbs fall right in the creek. And if you walk down the creek, it's full of dead trees from where they cut the ash trees. And I've been trying to cut them and pull them out myself. And then, so yeah, I agree with you. Yes, there's something needs to be done, but I don't think the residents should have to be paying more money to get that done.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members that wish to, okay. Sir, you can go first, and then you can follow. Thank you. Raise your right hand. Good afternoon.
Right.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
And please state your name and address.
My name is Earl Wall, address 7676 Richardson Road. I am in the watershed blueprint of the outside. I'm right next door to the lady who spoke earlier, Brenda. I've been in the area, my family's been in that general area since 1978. The only area that floods is that central area of where they're discussing. None of the other areas, this watershed project is not going to benefit no one but those one people. So therefore, why is it my responsibility to fix their problem that they have? It's not. It's not up to the residents in the area to recover the costs when the PowerPoint we just watched says for every $1 they spend, they're going to recoup $3 in farmland. Use that money to pay for the projects, not mine, not Brenda's, not the other residents in the area. It shouldn't be up to us to cover the cost. Furthermore, there might be a hidden agenda down the road. If this does go through, there should be a block on the property that it cannot be sold unless the funds be reimbursed back to the projects, back to the taxpayers that had to fund this. If it does go through, I petition against it. I don't think it should be up to us to cover the cost, to pay for the cost. Once again, it goes back to the old thing, buyer beware. If you don't want floodplain, don't buy it. I have a family member that has floodplain. You don't hear him up here. He's in that general area too. He's on Burger Road. He has floodplain land. He's not up here saying, we need to put storm tile in. He done it himself. That's what they need to do as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So just wanted to be clear. Sir, yeah, thank you so much for your testimony. But it sounds like you recognize the water issues, but you're like the last gentleman.
No.
where-
I
okay.
see no issues. other than their area of their property. I mean, it's just no difference than you buy ocean, I mean, you buy property next to the ocean, and a hurricane comes through, you're gonna get hit. You buy in floodplain, rain comes, you're gonna get flooded. Simple as that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Other gentleman that wanted to
There's-
speak?
Okay, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge? If so, say I do.
I do.
And please state your name and address or parcel number.
Antonio Gonzalez is 7785 Brown Road, Groveport, Ohio. And I agree, well, with the people that is against this improvement. I live at the end of the ditch. I get flooded every single year. And whatever they are trying to do is only going to get my situation worse. And as this past gentleman says, if you don't want flood, don't buy it there. These parcels are in a watershed, and you know what you are getting into. Then why will I have to pay if we are like 120 parcels and only more than 100 don't have any issue? They are not asking for this to be done. Then I don't think it's right that we pay on top of that. If this happens, all the water that they have, wherever they have it right now, is going to come to my property. There is a pond almost at the end of the ditch, which I share with another 5 owners. The dam is already broken because of the water that is getting. All this water that is going to come faster, and the volume that I'm not getting because the water is staying wherever it is right now, is going to come to my property and further damage the pond and the stream that goes from the pond to the creek. Keep erosioning my property on the way through. Then I don't agree with this.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, there are some folks that have already provided testimony that are wishing to speak again virtually here that are raising their hands. And so I would just kindly ask the prosecutor if that is permitted in this type of public hearing.
They've already testified.
How many are there?
It looks like Mr. Harris has raised his hand, who you just heard a few moments ago, has raised his hand, and Gordon Caldwell also raised their hand.
Yeah, that's fine. We need, in the interest of time, we're gonna need them to be brief, but yeah.
Okay, Mr. Harris, you may proceed, but please do be brief.
Yeah, just one thing, and I agree, with the last gentleman that spoke. He's just down the next house over from mine. One of those pictures that are in that did show was my driveway flooded. Like I said, I've done some, but most of that water does not come down Snyder Ditch. It comes from the cornfield. There's a pond in the cornfield, that relieves the water off of Richardson Road. And when that pond floods, it comes through the tiles and goes through my neighbor's backyard. And when it comes across my yard, it doesn't come through the ditch. It comes through my neighbor's yard, and it's probably 30 feet wide, about 20 inches deep. And so it's the water coming from Richardson Road. It's not the ditch itself is not flooding my yard. It's the water coming from the cornfield left of the ditch. So it's all in, again, like I said, I agree with the last gentleman. It's just going to make it worse for us. Thank you.
Who was the other gentleman who wanted to speak?
Mr. Caldwell. Go ahead, but please
Just
be brief.
Thank you. I just wanted the commissioners to know that we are not in a floodplain. I did not carry any special flood insurance as part of my homeowner's policy. So we're not in a floodplain. And then I would also like the board to also be aware that this culvert and drainage ditch was installed in the 1930s. It has had no maintenance since then. So we're approaching almost 100 years with no maintenance on those drainage ditches. So they definitely need cleaned out, and there definitely needs to be some action taken to get those drainage ditches back up to par so they can handle this area's watershed.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, back to you to proceed.
Mr. President, may I?
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just maybe ask the administration to, or the engineering office to come forward and maybe help address some of the issues that were raised. Let me kind of just remind you of some of what they were. One, if you could talk about how an assessment area is created so that everyone understands why they're included in this. Do you want me to just give you all the questions and then you come back, or do you want me to take them one by one?
Let's go one by one.
Okay, so let's start with that one. How does a property come to be included in an assessment area?
So the Ohio Revised Code determines who benefits from a petition drainage improvement, and is anybody whose water drains to the petition drainage improvement. It states that clearly in the Ohio Revised Code.
And I just want to be clear to folks that are listening, Mr. President, if I may.
Please.
That the Ohio Revised Code, so state law essentially dictates what our process that we have to adhere to is in terms of how that assessment works. And as you said, it is a matter of if your property drains to the subject area, then that's, okay, thank you.
It
And
is.
then, and my next question is, I just got to read my handwriting here. So there was an accusation about trees in the creek that the county has cut or somehow they exist in the creek. Can you talk about the process to which the improvements will be made? Because someone also said that they believed that the improvements will adversely impact their property even more with water. So I kind of connect the two, if you would. So if you could talk about the process to which the improvements will be made and what the expectation is on impact to the landowners in question.
So I'm unaware of us cutting trees and leaving trees laying in the ditch, but I'll double check to see, and if we did something like that, we will take them out at the county's expense. It wouldn't be something that was assessed to the property owners. It would be very contrary to our normal practices for something like that to
And if
occur.
I could add too, because I've been a part of some scenarios like this where it has been historically the degradation of that area that sometimes has a tree kind of just end up kind of falling over, if you will, and then it just becomes the issue. So, I mean, am I correct in
Right.
saying that?
You can often see that if there's erosion problems, that trees will fall in, but we did have the problem with the emerald ash borer, and a lot of ash trees died, and they are falling in, dying, and they can be falling into ditches and things like that naturally too. Sometimes we go and try and do some work on ditches, and we'll clear some underbrush and trees and things like that. If we think that there's creating obstructions in there and it's something we can do reasonably easily, it would be completely opposite to our purpose and practice to cut things and let them lay in the ditch. But like I said, I'll double check and make sure that there wasn't any error made or anything like that. But I'd be very surprised if we did that.
And to the part B of this is, then talk about the improvement process itself. What's that going to be like? What does it entail? What's the impact? And how will homeowners see throughout the process that sort of have an impact on the area?
So we'll look at that downstream area too, because creating an upstream drainage improvement that then harms somebody downstream is a concern to think about. And we will consider that in the process, that we don't want to create a drainage system upstream that's so good that it floods out the people downstream. Then that would also be contrary to our purpose, but a legitimate concern for property owners to bring up. Concerning the area where there was a pond at one time, that is correct, and I believe that pond was built on the drainage system and dammed up the drainage system to create the pond. Probably sometime between when the system was originally constructed and now, and I think it may have even been adapted at some point, but eventually the water coming through the ditch blew out the wall that was built to dam up and create the pond there. And so there could need to be some work done down there to make that flow through, and I'm not sure that the pond was not something that was authorized to be built on the drainage system. But I don't know that the property owners that own the property now are the ones that built it there. It could have been the property owner before. So we will have to address that at our time and look at that and make sure that any improvement that we do upstream doesn't create problems downstream as well. If we need to work on a section of a ditch, we will. We don't want to go in and cut trees on a section of ditch and just cut everything down just to not even need to work on it. But in areas that we need to work, we will have to go and clear and cut some trees just to get access to it. It has been there a long time, not had maintenance, and it has grown up with invasive species and trees all along the ditch.
Okay. And then, next, Mr. President, if I may, talk about how, so when, talk about the impact, so everyone's talking about the watershed area in general. And some homeowners say, well, I live here, I live there. And so talk about why is it the responsibility of everyone in the watershed to cover that? I mean, you said, you talked about state law being part of it, but maybe talk about the logic of that and how those properties all sort of have an impact on the broader watershed picture, because some folks zeroed in on, well, when it floods here, as opposed to it doesn't flood over here in my area. And so if you could just kind of make the maybe technical connection, if you would, and help us understand that'd be great.
So the way I read it and understand it and think about what the logic was behind the law is that whenever you build the drainage system, design and build the drainage system to resolve the flooding problem on the properties that are flooding, you have to design it to handle all of the water for the entire watershed, or you're not going to resolve the problem. So they have to design a system that is big enough and sufficient to handle everybody's water going through there. To put that burden on only the properties that are flooding seems unfair as well. So you have to, because the system it's a regional drainage system on private property, and it has to be designed to handle the water from all the properties that drain to it. I think that is likely the rationale, the most reasonable reason why everybody in the watershed gets assessed.
And if I could, Mr. President, if I just wanted to kind of restate that maybe a little bit simpler, it's kind of like, well, property A, it may not appear to have an effect on this particular outcome, but in the broader scheme of things, if you don't address that, then it could also, even the improvements could be mitigated because you haven't addressed the entire map or the entire blueprint. And I'm saying this because I want the folks who testified today to understand that we take your concerns and your perspective very, very seriously. I can assure you that my colleagues and I, we want to be on the side of what the residents need and what's best. And oftentimes the case is we have to look at it through the legal lens of the Ohio Revised Code, which we're obligated to look at it through. However, we also try to be, thoughtful and mindful about the practicality of things. And as we rely on the experts to help us understand how a stormwater runoff has an impact, or how development has an impact in the direction. I cannot, Kevin Boyce, County Commissioner, I cannot look at a map and tell you anything about the topography and how the water flows and how it impacts. I have to rely on experts that are advising us as to what is happening and how it works. And so I just want to be clear because when you tell these stories about, well, here's my property, and we get this all the time. Here's my property, and so it's not affected. But our engineering folks tell us that's not quite how water flow works, especially in a watershed. And so if I said anything wrong, correct me, please.
All correct, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, Jim, but.
Yes.
Yeah, excuse me. The watershed is in its entirety, if we have drainage and you have flooding at one end of the watershed, the cause of that drainage is the entirety of the watershed. So just because your house is at one end of the watershed and safe from the flooding, the cause of the drainage started somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if my house is here and the flood is here, the cause of the entire watershed is the cause of the flooding, correct? So if my house is not necessarily in the flood, where the flood is, where the problem is, doesn't mean that doesn't mean that where my house is wasn't part of the cause of the flooding, correct?
Right. And as one of the speakers testified, my house will stay flooded until the water decides to drain out of the ditches. Well, what's happening is all the water in the watershed is draining through an inadequate system, and so it's taking a long time for it to all drain away. And so it is all related in that way.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, we've come to the part now where we need to, if there are any other questions, any other statements, anybody else? Okay.
I have a question for the engineer.
Okay.
If you could come up
Can
to
you
the
please come to
podium,
the
sir.
microphone?
My name is Earl.
Can you please? Yeah,
Yes,
please.
my name is Earl Wall. I'm at 7676 Richardson Road. If you go and look at put your boots on the ground and look at the area, water can't go uphill, back downhill, and back uphill. Yes, it can seep through, but at the low points, there would be standing water at one point or another. Okay? Like I've said, I'll repeat myself, I've been in the area since 1978. None of the areas north of Burger Road has ever had water in or on the land. I have a neighbor that's been in his house for 47 years. He's never had a sump pump run. He doesn't even have a sump pump in his basement. Okay, so if there was a water issue in that area, your sump pump would run. No matter what time of the year it is, especially in the spring, your sump pump would run. I don't even have a sump pump. I've never had a sump pump. I don't need a sump pump. I have dead grass most of the time because it's constantly dry. Like I said, I'm at the very end of the watershed, but if you look at the level of the ground, it goes up, and then way down at the bottom. Yes, I understand water can seep through ground, but it does take it a while. If you get a torrential downpour, there should be standing water somewhere in the area. The ground's not going to absorb the water that fast for there to be an issue.
Ma'am.
Are you going to respond?
So I think in any watershed, the houses there that are the highest in the watershed will be the last ones to flood and the first ones for the flooding to clear. The houses that are the lowest in the watershed, in general, are going to be the first ones to flood and the last ones for that flooding to clear. The ups and downs and things, if you were driving on the road looking at ups and downs, you might see that, but if you look at that watershed, it may have different branches that come out in fingers that kind of come together at one point, and so you can trace that level up through the fingers, but in between the fingers, there might be higher areas in there. I think the other thing that's important is that in the assessment process, folks would only be assessed for parts of the system that they used. So if this system, and it may well, ends up building a branch that runs out to the properties that are the petitioners and those who amended to add themselves to the petition, only the properties that use that branch will be assessed for that branch. And then if we have to work on the main ditch that serves everybody, then that cost is shared by everybody, if everybody whose water drains to that area. So there is an attempt in the code to try to make the distribution of the assessments as fair as possible when we get there.
Brenda Johnson, 7618 Richardson Road. Once again, with all due respect to the engineers, we also heard that there were drainage pipes that hadn't been replaced since the 30s that are crumbling and failing and creating water issues that may not be a problem of the watershed at all. And I don't understand why this failing infrastructure, trees, damming up things that have created water problems weren't addressed before all of a sudden it's the watershed issue where they stand to make millions of dollars. And we, the taxpayer, pay for it. I don't think it's fair. I think it's misleading. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Mr. President,
Yes.
before we proceed with any board discussion, I would see if
Yes.
there's any closing remarks from the engineer's
Yeah.
office that you wish to make, please, at this time.
Thank you, Commissioners. One, Nick Soulis with the County Engineer's Office. One housekeeping matter, I believe we've introduced the report as Exhibit A. Also like to ensure and ask for a vote to include the PowerPoint presentation, and the clerk has a copy of that PowerPoint presentation, and include that in evidence as Exhibit B, if appropriate. So Commissioners, the vote, after you vote on the admission of the exhibits, you will be asked to adopt a resolution. That resolution that you will be considering today merely will close the hearing and indicate that the hearing has been held in accordance with law. We would ask to get some consideration, some feel from the board as to which type of resolution that the engineer's office will prepare. And the two choices are to proceed with the survey and plan preparation and going forward with the project. Does not mean that the project does go forward. It means we get to the point where we can have a final hearing. Or the alternative is to dismiss the petition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Commissioners, just to note again what Mr. Solis just said, that if the board does move forward with the resolution as set forth in ORC 6131.12 for proceeding with a project survey and design, a final hearing would be held in the future to determine whether to move forward with the proposed plans for the construction of the improvement presented by the engineer's office. And so at this time, if you would like to have discussion before we move to admit any evidence, should you wish to do that.
Yeah, I will. I'll say some words.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Clerk. You know, I want to say again, thank you to all those who've come today and testify. We value your perspective, we value your position, and as always, our goal is not simply an assessment here, it's to do what's right for Franklin County and Central Ohio. And Mr. President, you know, from my perspective, the real issue for me, quite frankly, is the Ohio Revised Code. There's probably no process less fun to me than assessing property owners for challenges like this. Every last one of them come this way, you know, where there are landowners and homeowners who feel strong that there is an impact and there needs to be change, and then there are others who feel less so much, and they may even recognize the impact, but nonetheless, maybe can't afford to be assessed. Maybe can't. One gentleman mentioned that his taxes are half of his payment. You know, that's unfortunately absurd. And that's, to me, part of the discussion that needs to take place. The downside of it is that's the Ohio legislature. That's the Ohio Revised Code. We are, by state law, we are directed by the Ohio Revised Code. We follow that of what is dictated to us by our lawmakers, by the legislature. And so in many ways, we are restricted in terms of our opinions about the assessment process. I personally find it to be antiquated, and given you know the way we see the degradation of the drainage systems across Ohio, we're an old state, the way we see the degradation, quite frankly, this is not uncommon. And there should be some relief for our residents. But that's not in our purview. That is not our authority, and that is not our capacity. Our capacity here is to look at what's been presented for the facts and take the recommendation of the engineer, the prosecutor's office, and quite frankly, and then finally, the best interests of the residents of Franklin County. And while I don't like the assessment part of this process, I do think water management issues are important for the quality of life and the ecosystems that exist in it. And so, Mr. President, I take the position to move forward. You know, I think to the prosecutor, to the engineer's office, I believe there are going to be other opportunities for them to continue to advocate for their perspectives. That's correct, right? Yes. That's correct. And I want to encourage you to do that. And I support your position. I support that those are legitimate arguments. I would only encourage you, though, I would only encourage you to find out who your state representative is and make bring them in on the conversation, because that's where we can really make a difference in this conversation. And I'm willing to support you in that conversation. I'm willing to support you in evaluating how the counties are allowed to assess landowners when it comes to water management. I'd absolutely be supportive of some change in that system. And so with that, Mr. President, I don't know where you are, but I'm okay with moving forward to the next stage of things.
So, sorry, I know you want to say something again, and we can do that. Commissioner Boyce, we go through these three times a year or more. I believe in rural counties, these things happen probably more often than they do in Franklin County, would be my guess. But Commissioner Boyce voices this opinion on every single one of these, I believe. And I tend to agree with him that this is a very antiquated situation. It is not at all unusual that this legislature does not address this situation. And I agree with him that the assessment process is unfortunate, to say the least. But he is correct in that we need to, we spend our time in each one of these things listening to the opinion of the engineer's office, listening to the opinion of the prosecutor's office, listening to the residents on both sides, usually almost every time on both sides of the issue, because it's rare that all of the residents agree. And then we have usually a very, very difficult decision to make. But I think that the right decision at this point is to allow for this to move to the next step, so that we have more information. Stopping it at this point so that we don't have any more information is probably not the right answer.
Commissioners?
Yes.
For clarity purposes, where you're at in the proceedings now is your deliberations. Your next stage would be a motion to admit the exhibits into the record of this administrative quasi-judicial hearing, and then you close your public hearing and read the resolution that allows it to move forward, closing the hearing and having the resolution at the next general session that will be approving, moving forward with plans and specifications. And there will be, after that, a second final hearing, which will be your notice to proceed, if you so decide to proceed after receiving those plans and specifications. That will be another administrative hearing where all these individuals have the opportunity to present sworn testimony again.
So, Mr. President, should I make the motion?
Yeah.
I move to first admit Exhibit A and Exhibit B as submitted by the engineer's office into the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Thank you. Exhibit A and Exhibit B have been admitted into the record.
And then is
And
it
there-
the 690 doing?
We need a motion to close, or excuse me, Mr. President, if you could close the public hearing.
All right. So at this point, we're going to close the public hearing. We don't need a motion for that.
That's right.
All right. And if you could read the public hearing into the record.
Resolution number 690-23, resolution considering the initial feasibility of the improvement of the Radke-Snyder Drainage Improvement, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
All right. Do we need to move motion for approval, or do we need Nick to?
I have nothing further to add. I just wanted to clarify to the board that the resolution that we will be preparing will be presented on October 3rd.
Okay.
And that's for the benefit of the crowd, and the folks online and here as well, so everybody's aware.
And Mr. Sulis, what is their ability to testify or continue to advocate for their position? Is that on that date, or are there opportunities in between that?
There will be, on that date, certainly, they can fill out a speaker slip and present testimony here. provide public comment. It's not formal testimony. It's not a hearing. On October 3rd, it'll be a regular general session, but they can fill out a speaker slip and provide public comment again. And then at the final hearing, which is typically at least a year from now, because it takes time to develop the plans and specifications and develop the assessments, at the final hearing, there will, again, it'll be a formal hearing, so they will have the opportunity to again provide their testimony to this board.
Okay. All right, so if, am I moving for the 690 intention?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 690-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 690-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 691-23, resolution approving a second contract modification with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for the Reynoldsburg New Albany Road and Havens Road Roundabout project.
Commissioners, thank you. This resolution seeks to authorize a no-cost contract modification with Shelley and Sands for the Reynoldsburg New Albany Road and Havens Road Roundabout project. This change order does provide for an extension of Phase 1B of construction to allow additional time for construction due to delays associated with waterline and sanitary infrastructure conflicts that were within the project limits. Again, there is no additional cost associated with this change order. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 691-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 691-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 692-23, report first of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Pontonous Road 2.26 over Muddy Run Improvement Project, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks compensation for one property owner abutting the Pontius Road 2.26 over Muddy Run. This project is located in southeast Franklin County and will replace an existing bridge culvert. We did negotiate with the property owner, and compensation is based on appraised fair market value. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 692-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 692-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 693-23, resolution granting approval to declare equipment obsolete and no longer needed for Franklin County use and authorizing sale of said equipment.
Commissioners, this resolution seeks authorization to declare equipment obsolete and authorizes a sale or proper disposal of the identified equipment, which is attached in your exhibit. We, of course, allow political subdivisions a designated period of time to bid on the items and purchase those before offering them for sale at public auction. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
Thank you. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 693-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 693-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 694-23, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Alum Creek Drive, County Road number 122, Hamilton Township and Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioner, this, actually, the next three resolutions are requesting authority to go to the Ohio Department of Transportation to investigate speed limits on three different roads. This one, in particular, is on Alum Creek Drive from London Groveport Road to the Obetz Corporation limit, just north of Bixby Road. ODOT will review our study and will ultimately determine a safe speed limit. The county engineer did receive a request from residents in the area to study the speed limit on this road, and based on our study, a speed limit reduction from 55 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour is appropriate. And pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 694-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 694-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 695-23, Resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on London and Lancaster Road, Township Road number 233, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this speed limit reduction request is actually on two separate sections on London and Lancaster Road. Starting on the western terminus, continuing approximately 8,500 feet easterly to Pontius Road, and then beginning again on Oregon Road and continuing approximately 3,400 feet easterly to the easterly terminus. Again, ODOT will review our study and determine a safe speed. Based on our study, the speed limit reduction from 55 miles an hour to 40 miles per hour would be appropriate. And pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 695-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 695-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 696-23, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Williams Road, County Road number 123, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
And Commissioners, this speed limit reduction request on Williams Road begins at the Columbus Corporation limit, just about 2.2 miles east of Alum Creek Drive, and continuing approximately 4,200 feet easterly to I-270. Based upon our study, we believe a speed limit reduction from 50 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour would be appropriate. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 696-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 696-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 697-23, resolution approving street water and storm water plans for Headley Farms, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this next resolution seeks approval of street, storm, and water improvement plans for Headley Farm subdivision located in northeast Franklin County and Jefferson Township. By approving this resolution, it would allow the developer to begin installing the necessary infrastructure for the development of the subdivision. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 697-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 697-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 698-23, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee, $5 funds for the city of Bexley.
Commissioners, the City of Bexley has submitted a request for license fee funds to pay for a portion of their OPWC loan payment on the previously completed Cassidy Avenue project that ran from East Broad Street to Delmar Drive. The county engineer has reviewed the proposed use of funds and has determined that they meet the allowable use. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 698-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 698-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 699-23, petition filed for vacation of Rosanna Drive and Dallas Drive, two unimproved roads within the undeveloped Rosanna Terrace subdivision, Prairie Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, for our final resolution, the Prairie Township Board of Trustees has filed a petition to vacate Rosanna Drive and Dallas Drive. As the clerk indicated, they are unimproved roads within an undeveloped Rosanna Terrace subdivision that was originally platted in 1959. It was just never constructed. Approval of this resolution would declare the petition to vacate valid and allow the engineer's office to move forward with other legislative steps to determine if the vacation of the roads are warranted, is warranted. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 699-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 699-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. If you'd like, I could repeat everything for Commissioner Crowley, if that would be helpful.
I'm sure they handled it just fine.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
All right, the Sheriff's Office.
Resolution number 702-23, Resolution authorizing the acceptance of funding from Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office to support the Ohio Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in the amount of $5,554.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Chief Financial and Human Resources Officer for Sheriff Baldwin. And our first resolution is an MOU with Cuyahoga County where they will reimburse us $5,554 for 2 software programs utilized by our ICAC task force to help with the investigate and bring to prosecution charges up to people involving internet crimes against children. Pending any questions, I ask approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 072-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 702-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 703-23, resolution authorizing a contract extension and modification with County Towing and Storage, LLC, for towing and impound management services in the amount of $200,000.
Commissioners, this resolution is a renewal from a competitive bid that took place in September of 2020. It was extended in this 2021 and extended in 2022. We're asking for the third extension that will run through 2024. There will be one extension left on this particular original bid package. And what this service is anytime that there's a vehicle that needs to have a tow when one of our deputies are on scene or one of our vehicles needs towed itself, there's a rotating flow of how the person managing or the company managing this rotates throughout many different towing companies that are part of this conglomerate. And pending any questions, I ask approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 703-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 703-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 704-23, resolution authorizing the acceptance of an Ohio Attorney General Law Enforcement Division Program grant for the Franklin County Heroin Overdose Prevention and Education Task Force in the amount of $55,000.
Commissioners, this is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the Ohio Attorney General. We've had this grant for several years. It's utilized to help pay for overtime-related expenses for the investigation of overdose deaths that are in our community. It's also utilized for community engagement and outreach. It runs from July through June of 2024, and pending any questions, we ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 704-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes. Yes.
Resolution number 704-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Public Defender.
Resolution number 705-23, resolution authorizing a one-year contract between the City of Columbus, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and the Franklin County Public Defender Commission in the amount of $1,006,995.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Euro Venters, Franklin County Public Defender's Office. I'm losing my voice. In support of Resolution 705-23. This resolution is for the 2023 contract between the City of Columbus, Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and the Franklin County Public Defender Commission to provide legal services to indigent persons in Franklin County Municipal Court. The total estimate cost of services in municipal court program for 2023 is $7,152,759. Based upon actuals from 2022, it is estimated that 58% of the cases in municipal court in 2023 will be state charged misdemeanors. As such, the cost to the county is estimated to be $4,148,600 before state reimbursement, which is estimated at 75%. The county obligation, therefore, is estimated to be $1,037,150. 42% of the cases in municipal court in 2023 will be city charges at a cost to the city in the amount of $3,004,159 after the 75 state reimbursement, and 2022 reconciliation in the amount of $255,955. The city obligation, therefore, and the amount of the contract today is $1,006,995. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of resolution 705-23.
You know, Director, this is a good opportunity for us to talk about collaboration and, you know, some good, effective uses of technology for, you know, effective ways to get things done. But, you know, maybe that's a conversation for another time. So I think I'll just go ahead and second the commissioner's motion. But, you know, we'll just.
Understood, Commissioner. I'll look forward to it.
Look forward to
Okay.
talking, absolutely.
Okay,
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes.
Resolution number 705-23 has been adopted. Excuse me, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to child support enforcement.
Resolution number 70623, resolution authorizing contract extension number 1 with Counterpoint Mediation Services LLC for professional mediation services in the amount of $35,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bill Peltz, Assistant Director representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. This resolution requests your consideration in approving a contract extension with Counterpoint Mediation Services LLC for professional services using access and visitation funds to provide mediation for parents who wish to establish a parenting time order at the same time or any time after a child support order is established. The Ohio Department of Job and Family Services received a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services grants to states for access and visitation programs to enhance visitation between children and non-custodial parents. The CSEA applied for and received an award to provide such services through a contract with Counterpoint Mediation Services, LLC, in accordance with the application proposal. The CSEA received notice of a renewal of the funding effective July 1, 2023 from the grant section of the Office of Child Support and wishes to execute the first contract extension with Counterpoint Mediation Services, LLC. The CSEA's Access and Visitation Program relates to the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 13, strengthening partnerships with parents to increase support for young people. Mediation provides a platform in which to build rapport and communicate to parents the reasons why their child needs not only financial support, but the emotional well-being support that only time and presence can provide. The establishment of a parenting time order allows both parents to participate in building the relationship with their child. Pending any questions, I ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of resolution 706-23.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes.
Resolution number 70623 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 70723, review of petition to annex 22.7 more or less acres from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-30-23.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Matt Brown, Planning Administrator for the Economic Development Planning Department. This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, 22.7 acres more or less from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes parcel number 240-000-192, located on the west side of Galloway Road. The petition was filed by Thomas Hart on behalf of the property owner, Anaya Communities LLC. 87% of the site's perimeter is contiguous to the City of Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 2230-2023 on August 8th, 2023, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved. The petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 707-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 70723 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Nice mustache.
All right, fleet management.
Resolution number 70823, resolution authorizing disposition of personal property, including motor vehicles and equipment that are no longer needed for public use, are obsolete, or are unfit for the use it was acquired, and authorizing the Director of Fleet Management to dispose of said items by transferring title to other governmental agencies in Ohio by internet auction or selling as salvage.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I almost said morning.
Good afternoon.
Charlotte Ashcraft,
Well,
Director of Fleet
last
Management.
week we were saying konnichiwa at this point.
So, This resolution is requesting authorization to dispose of 15 retired vehicles. Fleet is asking permission to dispose of these either through donation to another governmental agency, selling them online, or properly to salvage disposal. Our transfer program to other agencies began in 2009, and we've helped many smaller governmental agencies in their time when they are short vehicles as well. These smaller agencies have limited funds for vehicles, and our donation program has been a lifeline for many of them. By transferring to another agency, we do not incur the cost to remove the equipment and the decals, and that can sometimes outweigh how much we would get online by selling them. Those that are wrecked will be disposed of through salvage due to the damage. However, due to the continuing supply chain issues, many agencies request a vehicle that is damaged so they can get parts. We've done this as well. Many of them don't have a lot left. So those that we don't salvage or give away, we will sell online through govdeals.com. Pending any questions, I respectfully request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 708-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 70823 has been adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 70923, resolution approving a subaward amendment with the Center for Healthy Families Incorporated for teen parenting and pregnancy prevention services for an increase of $33,212.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Administration. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator. The Center for Healthy Families has provided coaching and support to move more than 3,000 teen families in Franklin County toward economic self-sufficiency since 2009. Their Healthy Families Connection Collaborative is a community and school-based program for teen parents, both mothers and fathers. It uses evidence-based interventions that provide personal growth in the areas of health, wellness and parenting interventions, early childhood development, education, and career planning. They help to create customized goal plans for pregnant and parenting teens working toward the ultimate goal of ensuring teen mothers give birth to healthy babies, avoid subsequent pregnancies, and graduate from high school. They also place an emphasis on fostering healthy and supportive co-parenting relationships. Under this amendment, the center will provide additional services to the current population of teen families. This resolution aligns with our Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 8, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 709-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 70923 has been adopted. Resolution number 71023, resolution approving subaward agreements with Ethiopian Tewahedo Social Services, Jewish Family Services, and Us Together Incorporated for refugee employability services in the amount of $3,018,582.49.
The Refugee Support Services funding is intended to help eligible, newly arriving refugees across the Central Ohio region address the challenges and barriers to employment, such as workplace language, education, and work skills. The ultimate goal is to help move these individuals and families who have been impacted by trauma and violence into employment as soon as possible. This is the second year of the grant award with ETSS, Jewish Family Services, and Us Together, 3 of the 4 community partners selected to provide these services. During the last grant period, the partners served over 300 eligible refugees. Nearly 70% of those participants obtained employment, exceeding the state's goal of 53%. Most of those jobs were full-time with benefits and provided an average wage of $17.93 per hour, also exceeding the state's target of $12.50. Under the new agreements, the partners will continue to work together to offer services to eligible refugees that have arrived in the United States within the past 5 years and initially settled or migrated to this area. The partner agencies will provide refugee support services to approximately 685 refugees, including families resettled from Ukraine. This resolution supports goal number 4 of our Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 710-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 710-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 711-23. Resolution approving a subboard agreement with the St. Vincent Family Center to support transportation services for Medicaid-eligible youth participating in day treatment programs in the amount of $570,000.
Commissioners, our last resolution this afternoon, it's for the St. Vincent Day Treatment Program, which provides mental health counseling and services for 6 to 9 months to ensure children are prepared to return to school ready to learn. However, changes in the behavioral health redesign have reduced capacity to privately underwrite travel expenses, creating an equity issue for vulnerable children and families with behavioral health needs. Under this agreement, St. Vincent's plans to serve approximately 224 children in their day treatment program, utilizing pass-through funds from the Ohio Department of Medicaid to our agency to support non-emergency medical transportation services. And pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 711-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 711-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
We're going to skip over. All right, Justice Policy and Program.
Resolution number 712-23. Resolution authorizing a non-general fund supplemental appropriation with the Justice Assistance Grant Fund.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Administration. Rochelle Pride.
Not even looking at you.
Good afternoon.
Thank
Black and
you.
yellow. Black
Go
and yellow.
Browns.
Black
Go
and yellow.
Steelers.
Go Browns.
Director with Justice Policy and Programs, and today I have with me Mr. Douglas Burnett, who is our intern with the John Glenn College of Public Affairs at The Ohio State University.
Sorry
And
about you. Sorry about your luck today, man.
Oh, you're in good hands.
thank you, Commissioner, and former graduate of Morehouse College, so he's here to observe today. This resolution presented to you this afternoon is for approval of receipt of the supplemental appropriation within the Justice Assistance Grant Program. Each year, OJPP administers 3 separate justice assistance grants simultaneously. Appropriations are protected based on spending trends and grant closeout dates. The request for supplemental appropriation is the result of slower subrecipient spending in 2022 and a faster spending in 2023. In addition, sufficient funds are required to pay expenses necessary to close out OJPP's 2020 JAG grant. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 712-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 712-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 713-23. Resolution authorizing a contract agreement with Franklin County Public Health to increase naloxone distribution to Franklin County residents and granting authority to the county administrator to sign all documents and waivers related to the agreement in the amount of $5,000.
OJPP performs a local annual analysis to identify overlap with justice-involved residents and those who fatally overdose in Franklin County. With the most recent data from the Franklin County Coroner's Office, 66% of those who died in Franklin County from an overdose in 2023 were known to our Franklin County jail management system 12 months, 9 months, and even 6 months preceding their death, suggesting some history of criminal justice involvement beyond incarceration. For this reason, OJPP will focus our Noxalone distribution efforts on residents with a history of justice involvement. Our partnership with Franklin County Public Health on the Integrated Harm Reduction Grant from the Ohio Department of Health since 2018 has helped us partner in putting together innovative approaches for Narcan distribution and harm reduction strategies into the practice of our day-to-day work. As a result of this ongoing partnership, OJPP has distributed over 3,000 Narcan kits to Franklin County residents at risk for overdose. This resolution authorizes the county administrator to approve and execute the contract agreement for Franklin County Public Health distribution and the residents that will receive this in the amount of the $5,000. The period will begin September 29, 2023 and end September 30 of 2024. This resolution supports goal number 9 of our Rise Together blueprint, and pending any questions, we would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 713-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 713-23 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right. Purchasing.
Resolution number 714-23. Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $4,084,098.53.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tracy Matthews, Assistant Director of Purchasing. Joining me with the SCVE data for this resolution is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This resolution requests your approval of 116 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has the supplier diversity data for the week. Good afternoon, Tamika.
Good afternoon. 15 of the purchase orders being presented today are awarded to small emerging businesses, totaling $119,550. 2% is being awarded to small businesses and 13% to women-owned businesses. Once approved, 5 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities to small businesses this week. Those agencies include Court of Appeals, Domestic Relations and Juvenile Courts, Emergency Management, the Engineer's Office, and the Sheriff's Office. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 714-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 714-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tamika. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 715-23. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission for collection in calendar year 2024 and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Zach Tlarek with the Office of Management and Budget. This is the annual authorization required by Section 5705.34 of the Revised Code that is required to be completed before the first day of October in each year for each of these levies. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 715-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 715-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 716-23. Resolution authorizing an application to the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas for employment of Bricker Graydon LLP to serve as special counsel relating to contract matters in the amount of $150,000.
Commissioners, and working with the Prosecuting Attorney's Office with Janine Hummer, this resolution would authorize the application for special counsel, as well as authorizing the county administrator to enter into a contract with Bricker Graydon LLP in an amount not to exceed $150,000 for items related to contract litigation, contract review, and other contracting matters. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 716-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 716-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 717-23. Resolution authorizing the subgrant agreement between the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services and the Local Workforce Development System, Local Area 11, for the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio.
Commissioners, pending any questions, would recommend approval of this agreement. This is similar to agreements in the past for this sub-agreement regarding workforce.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 717-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 717-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 718-23. Resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into an agreement with Justice Planners to provide a forecast analysis in conjunction with the new corrections center in the amount of $75,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator. This board has authorized additional professional design services associated with future needs of the corrections facilities. There's value in obtaining an independent current forecast analysis, not only for future beds, but what mix of beds those would be, should there be a decision in the future to move forward with additional design and construction. Justice Planners has the expertise and experience to conduct such a forecast analysis to have accurate information for decision-making and planning. This resolution would allow the county administrator to enter into an agreement with Justice Planners for such forecast. Pending any questions, would recommend your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 718-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 718-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 719-23. Resolution reappointing Katie Wolf Lloyd to the National Veterans Memorial and Museums Operating Corporation Board of Directors.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lauren Russell, Assistant Director of Community Appointments. Ms. Wolf Lloyd is a member in good standing, and pending any questions, we'll ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 719-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 719-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 720-23. Resolution appointing John Boyer to the National Veterans Memorial and Museums Foundation Board and Operating Corporation Board of Directors.
Mr. Boyer is a veteran, and he meets the qualifications to be appointed to this board, and pending any questions, respectfully ask for your approval.
Second.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 720-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
And Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 720-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 721-23. Resolution appointing Corinne Berger to the Columbus Regional Airport Authority.
Commissioners, this is a joint appointment between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the City of Columbus, and pending any questions, we'll respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 720-23.
Second.
Commissioner, 721.
Oh, 721, I'm sorry. See, that's why I usually check them, and I didn't do it. Okay, 720, move for approval of Resolution 721-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting.
Yes. Sorry.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 721-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 722-23. Resolution appointing Joy Bivens to the Workforce Development Board pursuant to the requirements of the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act of 2015.
Commissioners, this is to fill the spot that is vacant due to Eric Janis's resignment, and pending any questions, we'll ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 722. Did we, hold on.
722.
Oh, she's on both. Okay, 722-23, sorry.
Second.
Moved
Jet
and
lag. Sorry. Go ahead.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 722-23 has been
As
adopted.
I said earlier, jet lag is for real.
4 days later, as Chris
Oh,
said, and we're on
man.
day 4.
5.
Yeah.
Resolution number 723-23. Resolution appointing Joy Bivens to the Community Shelter Board of Trustees.
This is also to fill a vacancy left by Eric Janis's resignation, and pending any questions, we'll ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 723-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 723-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 724-23, resolution appointing Chris J. Long as a member-at-large to the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
Commissioners, this is to fill a vacancy left by Eric Janis, and if any questions, we'll ask for your approval.
No comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 724-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 724-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are there any journalizations?
We have 5, so I'll begin now.
Good Lord. Okay.
Sorry. No, I'm okay. Excuse me. Case number ANX-32-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-32-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on August 25th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 0.9 acres from Truro Township to the city of Reynoldsburg. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on September 26, 2023. The site is 1769 Lancaster Avenue, PID number 263-002404. Case number ANX-33-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-33-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 5th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 1.463 acres from Madison Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 10th, 2023. The site is 5105 E Bright Road, PID number 180-000859. Case number ANX-34-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-34-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 5th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 9.504 acres from Madison Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 10th, 2023. The sites are 5071 E Bright Road, PID number 180-000002, and 5091 E Bright Road, PID number 180-005101. Case number ANX-36-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-36-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 11th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 0.505 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 17th, 2023. The site is 2304 White Road, PID number 160-001763. Case number ANX-38-23, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-38-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 11th, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 114.2 acres from Hamilton Township to the village of Lockbourne. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 17th, 2023. The sites are as follows: 7200 Moorhead Road, PID number 150-000100. 7120 Moorhead Road, PID number 150-000128. Moorhead Road, PID number 150-000211. Moorhead Road, PID number 150-000214. South High Street, PID number 150-002716. 7256 Moorhead Road, PID number 151-000190. And Moorhead Road, PID number 151-000191.
Okay. Is there any media, are there any members of the media, either in person or online, that would like to speak to the commissioners or anybody else? Hearing none, our meeting is concluded.
You never give me time to say happy Monday.